on, and we saw Pangboy on Kog'Maw in the quarterfinals. He was so strong. I believe this was the third game that sent them into this Final Four matchup. He went 14-1 on Kog. It was devastating. It really was. So, but on the other hand, this is V-Time on Vayne, and you can never count that out. So the question is, which late game hyper carry is going to get going first?
Yeah, and it's really going to come down to the beginning of the game, who's going to get that first kill. And if you take a look at the items that Lulu's grabbed, she's going to be insanely aggressive. Got a little bit of banter going between the two players. You guys can't see the chat, but essentially Little Kevin saying he wants to tango with Kiwi Kid, and I'm sure that's going to be happening very soon. But going back to what Redderun has in his inventory, he's got a mana potion as well as 2 health potions. So he's looking to be very aggressive, have a lot of trades going down, and then have the mana to continue it up and keep that pushing going.
That's the poke that Redderun wants to make, to set V-Time up for those early kills. If they're able to get Pangboy down to 3/4 health, half health, a quarter health if they're really lucky, get the condemn and a couple of early hits right off the bat, that's an early kill, potentially first blood if they can swing it correctly.
Yeah, absolutely, and that first blood is going to make the biggest difference in that bottom lane. Even if it's not the global first blood, just whichever AD carry gets that initial advantage over the other one is going to start to snowball that more and more, force a lot of aggression coming out from the mid lane as well.
It definitely is, and yeah, Kiwi Kid, we talked about the do you want to tango Kiwi Kid and Lil Kevin actually having matching skins. So a lot of respect for these guys. These players play together a lot, and they know each other's play styles, so it's great to see that camaraderie.
Yeah, and there's that cohesion that I never understood why there would be so much skin potential between Evelynn and Twisted Fate, but it's all for this one match here for the finals of the collegiate tournament going on right now. This is the Final Four to see who makes it up into the actual last match. They're competing for a $5,000 prize, but also the pride of their school.
They definitely are, and the winner of this is going to be facing off against Georgia Tech. So here we go into this game 2, a little bit late on this one, but if you want to see UCI come back and force a game 3, let me hear you. Dead silence in the crowd.
They're all eating the little ants that might be running around outside, not going to be watching this match at the moment. A little bit of disappointed about before, but we got a lot of Longhorns here in the crowd. If you guys want to see University of Texas Austin win this in a 2-0, let me hear you.
So, despite the first semifinal being a fairly bipartisan crowd where some people are like, I want to see UCSD take this one out. No, I want to see Georgia Tech score the upset. This is a very Longhorn-centric audience, and no surprise here, we are live from Austin. If you're just joining us, this is game 1, and here comes the gank.
Yeah, this is the first gank of the game. A lot of damage going down onto Pangboy. He is going to be the first blood going in favor of UCI. Sona's going to follow as well. It's going to be a kill in favor of Vayne. That's a great advantage for them, able to disperse the damage, but unfortunately, is going to take that last tower hit. He's going to fall, giving a little bit of gold actually to Pangboy.
And unfortunately for V-Time, Pangboy got credit for that kill, as you mentioned. So what could have been a huge advantage with Vayne getting the kill as well as the assist turned into a 1-for-1 trade. But Master Law on Cho'Gath picking up that first blood, that's the kind of start he wants.
Yeah, it was a great gank for him earlier on. We saw that Entheomancer kind of moved up to the top jungle instead. He was going for a little bit more of a farm-heavy thing. He wasn't actually able to be ready for the counter gank available. Very early gank coming out from Master Law.
And that's something we saw with Entheomancer, that he almost had Master of Law's number. Every time Master of Law was there, at a certain point, Master of Law got that early red buff in game 1, was able to impose his will, not as much as he wanted to, but once Entheomancer farmed his way back into the game, he was all up in Master of Law's business. Unfortunately, not able to do it, and Master of Law camping the UC island. V-Time and Redderun said before the match that they get camped all the time, so now a bit of a role reversal as Master of Law camping the bottom lane.
Yeah, they want to take advantage of what really hurts them, figure out the weaknesses that are in that bottom lane, and just do everything they possibly can. With Lulu, it makes it easier for them to go for the ganks, but the Rupture just barely misses on Sona. That's not going to be an attempted second gank, and he was there for a very long period of time. That's going to cost him a little bit in the jungle, and with Aurelia going back to grab that Doran's Blade, she's going to be trading very, very well with Jax in the top lane. Going to start to take control of that as well.
Here comes Entheomancer. This is a 3v3, an instant disengage with the Rupture. Vtine and Redrun getting a little bit of poke on Sona, but Pawn Gypsy extremely low, and Marvin the Dang showing that he is a scary Aurelia player and forcing Pawn Gypsy out of lane early.
Yeah, I was a little confused about Marvin leaving lane once he just had enough money for that Doran's Blade, but this is exactly why. He's able to take control of the lane after coming back with that first item, and from there on, it's going to start to snowball more and more. It looked like Pawn Gypsy was going to head back, but he's actually going to be going for a little bit more aggression here. Going to be starting for a very early attempt at trying to do damage to Aurelia, but the Ignite does barely not kill Pawn Gypsy. He's going to be able to get away.
He will, and a great play by Marvin the Dang to force that Jax out early. We said this in the first semifinal that Jax has nowhere to go but up. As he keeps getting those items, he's gonna get scarier and scarier and scarier, and you gotta get on top of him early. And Marvin is doing exactly that. Aurelia, on the other hand, she's very similar, except she's so dangerous early. She's got true damage right off the bat. That's so scary, as well as a little bit of CC reduction, and that dash. So Marvin the Dang playing Aurelia as he is known to play her.
Yeah, and then Theomancer getting ready to go through his second buff stage of the jungle. Once he hits level 6, he's going to be that much more scary as well, combined with Marvin in that top lane. It's going to be something that he's really going to need to worry about. But with so much focus of Master of Law on the bottom lane, that's going to make Marvin just a little bit more aggressive in this top lane. And we see both junglers heading there to try to turn this into a 2v2 situation.
Marvin the Dang is actually out of mana, so this could be a dangerous situation with the Rupture just missing again. Master of Law just can't catch a break in these ganks. Game 1 wasn't really able to convert the way he wanted to. Game 2 is pretty much the same story.
And that's all because he didn't get the fiddle.
He didn't get the fiddle. See? That's what they get for banning fiddle on him.
Yep. So already we see that Kiwi, he does have his ultimate. He moved a little bit to the bottom lane. He's going to use it to actually gate in there. Going to put on a lot of hurt to this bottom lane of UCI, but not actually able to convert it into any sort of kill. Evelyn was able to call the MIA before he left into any sort of danger zone. And as he's moving back, little Kevin was hidden the entire time. That's going to be Ignite. That's going to be a lot of burst damage coming down, but the Flash, it might be able to save him. Flash coming out from little Kevin as well. Finishes up the kill, gets out without too much damage to him as well.
And that's the danger of Twisted Fate. He has to convert those ganks, push the lane out, and then back immediately. Because if he doesn't, little Kevin knows where he is. He was able to see that Kiwi Kid came bottom, tried to turn something around, didn't really do much to Vtine, because Vtine and Redrun have not had the back yet. And when he went back to mid, little Kevin was waiting for him and showed that burst from Evelyn against a paper-thin Twisted Fate.
Yeah, a lot of poke going down in this bottom lane. 7.5 minutes in. UT down by 2, but only down by 300 gold. So keeping the gold limit pretty even. But if this gank is going to be able to be converted, it's going to change things a lot. Donald being taken down immediately. Pangboy going to follow soon, but can they turn it into another kill with the turret? No, they're not going to be able to. That Ikapian surprise is not going to surprise anyone this time.
And that was Vtine making sure he flashed out immediately. He did not want a repeat of that first blood gank. Master of Law finally converting that jump. He flashed in, he had the ult, and he knew that he had the true damage, and they were able to convert a 2-0 kill right off the bat against UT.
Yeah, meanwhile in the top lane, Aurelia is going to continue to trade extremely well. Only a Ninja Tabby on Pawn Gypsy, so he's got a little bit of extra defense so he can tank these minions. But the thing is that those double Doran's Blades on Aurelia is just going to dish out more and more hurt. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, little Kevin's going to continue to be very aggressive onto Kiwi Kid. Getting that first kill in any lane is going to give you so much confidence to be able to continue to trade. However, with Theomancer coming in here, little Kevin knows that he just needs to back off a little bit.
And then Theomancer's going to go back and start to feed Kiwi Kid this blue buff. So they're trying to make sure that they take control of these buffs. Master of Law with Cho'Gath, he does have the capacity to counter juggle, but not with the speed that a jungle Mundo has. So Master of Law making sure that he takes care of the red, gets a Nom Nom, so he is now up to 2 stacks. He's not going to be super scary until he goes for the 6 stacks. That's when you have the gigantic Gentleman Cho'Gath with the gigantic hat. Gentleman Cho'Gath, one of my favorite skins, by the way. And if he gets those max stacks, he can tank towers like a boss. He's got the Philosopher's Stone, he's got the Heart of Gold, as you mentioned, and he's just going to be able to build those into so much tankiness because his ultimate and those stacks are going to give him that base health to offset that armor and magic resist.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a window of opportunity normally for University of Texas right now going up against Master of Law in the jungle. But the issue is that UCI is up by 1,000 gold right now. They have control of their own buffs and they can have control of all of their lanes at the moment. So it's something that University of Texas is kind of on the defensive right now, even though they want Kiwi Kid to be roaming as much as possible, going for as many ganks as possible with his gate, especially with that blue buff that they just fed him.
And despite Pangboy being behind, having been killed one extra time, he's starting to pull ahead of Vtine a little bit. They're dead even on gold, but he's beating him in CS. So we'll have to see what Vtine's going to be able to do to respond to that and maybe pull ahead. Because like we said, this is going to be the story of the hyper carry. Whichever either Vayne or Kog'Maw can carry harder in these fights or get ahead in these lanes is going to be the one who's going to win this game too.
Yeah, and Redoran on that Lulu, he is the captain of the team, so he's going to be able to direct exactly what's going to be going on, letting the team know when he's available to kind of keep someone alive, especially Vtine. And this might be one of those situations that's going to be a little bit of aggressive, but only until they take down those minions. They don't want it to be taken down by the turret.
And speaking of aggressive, Master of Law potentially going for a dive. No, he's not. He decides that Kiwi Kid is not worth being a dinosaur snack, so he's just going to back off. But we were talking about aggression with this bottom lane, and Redoran said before the match, Vtine just goes man mode. And there's a flash, and Theomancer just out of reach. There's the speed boost from Little Kevin saving his life. But yeah, Vtine apparently likes to go man mode, so Redoran likes to play those aggressive supports and make sure that if Vtine commits, that they're gonna be safe when they do it.
And that is very important, that any sort of commitment they make is not too risky for them. It is a very high pressure match at the moment, and they need, UCI needs to take it. They're looking pretty good right now, but even 4 kills up, they're only up by 500 gold. So University of Texas doing a great job of keeping everything else even, despite all these ganks that are coming from Master of Law in the bottom lane.
And Master of Law continuing to camp. Let's see if he's going to be able to get it. There's the slowdown, going to make that rupture a little bit easier, but Pangboy dodging it out. Vtine popping the ultimate, but there's the counter initiate as well as the knockup. But Little Kevin is there. Let's see if he's going to be able to get it. He gets the ultimate onto 2 people, but here comes Real Kiwi Kid, but he's not able to do anything. He's so far back. He uses his stun on a minion, and that's a full disengage.
It is a full disengage. It's exactly what UT was looking for. Unfortunately, they had to invest a lot into making that happen. A bunch of summoner spells used out there by Donald, the ultimate from Kiwi Kid, so there's not going to be any aggression in this top lane, but it doesn't matter. Marvin's doing a great job 1v1 at the moment. He's going to try to keep that going. It's really up to the rest of the team to kind of make up for the deficit they have at the moment.
And George, that's a great point that UT had to invest a lot, and they very well could have potentially turned that around if Kiwi Kid had been a little bit closer, because UCI was in full retreat mode, and that was a 4v3 situation. So if Pangboy had been able to turn back and get some form of CC, they might have been able to turn a kill. As it stands, sort of back to the status quo, but the gold lead fairly even at this point.
Yeah, a little bit of nerves coming in there from Kiwi Kid. He wasn't sure exactly when to move down to that bottom lane. Just a couple extra seconds late, like you were talking about. A beautiful ult from Donald, but it was a defensive ult. It was something that they couldn't convert into any sort of aggressive play after that. So it was good that Kiwi Kid was there just in case, but it wasn't really something they could convert.
And now Kiwi Kid is a little bit handcuffed. He's going to be able to clear. He drops the vision ward to make sure that he can actually see Little Kevin.
Drops it right in the vision of Little Kevin, so it's kind of a little bit of a taunt going on.
Definitely. Master of Law sitting in the top lane, so they could very well want to pressure this one out. No, Master of Law, he has the Oracle, so he's just looking for those wards, trying to get control of the river yet again so that Little Kevin can roam without getting seen.
Yep, and Theomancer has finished up his boost of mobility. That's going to allow him to zip around this map a little bit faster. Doesn't quite have the oracles yet, but it doesn't matter because the vision range for University of California Irvine is not quite there. They're able to keep the aggression going on. We actually see Skarner setting up for a nice lane gank going on here. The positioning from Aurelia is exactly what she needs to do, but Pawn Gypsy smells that something's up.
This is going to require a ridiculous bait from Marvin the Dank because the flash is down on Theomancer, but there goes Theomancer with the flash up from Pawn Gypsy right away, and Theomancer getting a little bit minion blocked. Pawn Gypsy says, no way do I want to get impaled, and he backs off.
Yeah, smart move from him. It did cost a flash, but that's okay. He's going to be staying alive, and they're going to be countering it in the bottom lane. The Rupture goes down, doesn't quite hit anything, but neither does the Crescendo, just slowing down Master of Law temporarily. It looks like Kog'Maw is going to get away, but at a significant cost.
And that Crescendo from Donald, while it wasn't ideal for him, did exactly what it needed to do, which was disengage the fight and keep Pangboy alive. So Pangboy was able to get out of there because Master of Law wasn't able to follow up. He hit a Feral Scream max range, but that isn't going to slow a Cog down.
No, it is definitely not going to. Now there's 4 champions in this bottom lane. They're going to be able to take this turret. It's really going to be up to University of Texas's other lanes to put on as much pressure as possible. Top turret goes down as Jax gets pushed away, and it looks like the mid turret might take some significant damage as well. However, is UCI going to be going for the dragon, or are they going to go for mid?
It looks like they're going to go for mid. They want the engage. They know that, and Theomancer is potentially vulnerable. Kiwi Kid is extremely vulnerable. There's the flash going on. We could see the rupture, the flash up from Kiwi Kid to get out of there, and there's the teleport. He is out of there in a hurry, and then Theomancer is going to follow him. That was a great play from Kiwi Kid to get out of a potentially terrifying situation.
Yeah, great timing there. They were trading 2 turrets for 1. Dragon is still up. No one's taken that quite yet. This is going to give the gold lead for University of Texas once again, 15 minutes into the game.
And UCI looking to respond. This is a back and forth game 2 with UT Austin doing what they did in game 1, which is just stay with UCI in the laning phase and try to turn a couple of early kills around into the mid game. It's been a little bit more difficult because Lil Kevin has been much more of a presence than he was in the first game, where he's not just drop payload, run away, come back, drop payload. He's Evelyn. He's gonna have that haste spikes for that continuous damage. He's got the Negatron cloak. I'm actually a little surprised that he grabbed the Negatron cloak right off the bat, but probably going to be building into a Deathfire Grasp soon after.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised with the Negatron cloak as well. It's kind of indicative that they're going more for a defensive play in the mid lane, but that didn't pay off for them. We saw Evelyn constantly go down in the bottom lane, not convert it into anything, and she left herself available to the counter push that Kiwi Kid is doing. Kiwi Kid grabbing that Deathfire Grasp early on, getting a little bit of extra gold, and then taking down that middle turret. That's going to give so much extra ground control for University of Texas, and with that, they're just going to go big.
And Kiwi Kid is starting to pull ahead of Little Kevin about 1,000 gold because he's able to clear faster. He's also got a needlessly large rod now. He hasn't been able to do those roaming assassinations that Twist Phase Nova. Oh no, Red Run getting caught up. There's the crescendo going down on 3 people. Red Run getting the flash ultimate, but it won't be enough. Penguin goes for the snipe, but here comes V-Time. Little Kevin taking Entheomancer out, and V-Time's looping up to try and take someone out, and he very well could with the tumble. Can he get the condemn? No, just out of range. So a very quick execute onto Redgeron, forcing the flash and the ultimate, but Entheomancer paying the price with his life.
Yeah, that's a very pricey thing to have happen right now. With Cho'Gath still up, he's going to be able to go for this dragon at the moment. Destiny's coming out from Kiwi Kid, so they're aware of exactly what's going on, but it's something that they might not really want to kind of get in there. We see some cards flying out there to see if they could do something, but you can't really do anything against a Smite and a feasting Cho'Gath from Master of Law.
Yeah, that's going to be a ridiculous amount of damage. Right now he's got 645 true damage on that Smite, as well as that 1,000 true damage from the Feast. That is really difficult to outsmite, and this is one of the reasons why Jungle Cho'Gath is one of the main picks, especially for Master of Law. He's also max stacks at this point, so he's going to be able to tank a ton of damage, and Little Kevin just picked up his Abyssal Scepter off the back of that dragon.
And that's what he's going to need to start doing. When they get into this team fights, he's going to have that much more potential. He still has the defense to go up against Kiwi Kid in the lane if they stay there much longer, but without his own turret, it looks like he's going to be trying to go for a little bit more roaming availability. Vane's going to be farming up as much as possible, trying to be that super hyper carry that we were talking about before the game, but she's still 10 minion kills behind Kog'Maw.
While that may be true, they are almost dead even in gold. Pangboy is only about 300 gold ahead, so despite a small minion kill advantage, Pangboy going for a rushed Phantom Dancer. Interesting choice. He wants to get more ticks on that W earlier instead of going for the Infinity Edge, and those are the 2 items to watch for. When Vayne or Kog'Maw get that Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer combination, Vayne has a little bit more flexibility, but for Kog'Maw, it's pretty much the stable of Infinity Edge Phantom Dancer, Wreck Face.
And that's going to be even more telling in this fight. He's going to have that flexibility to dodge the rupture from Master of Law, make sure he doesn't have to waste his cleanse on anything he doesn't want to, and with that, that'll just keep his positioning going throughout the rest of the fight. Having that extra movement speed from the Phantom Dancer is just amazing for Kog'Maw.
And it looks like V-Time was able to match him. They're dead even, we mentioned, in gold, and V-Time picks up the Phantom Dancer as well. So in the race to get to the late game terror, they are neck and neck.
Neck and neck indeed, just as these teams are. UC Irvine only up by 300 gold at the moment. A Wit's End being purchased for Marvin. That's going to give him a little bit of extra defense against Aurelia, or against Evelyn as well. It's going to be very good for the continuing dominance in that top lane.
And that's a smart choice from Marvin the Dang. You often see the 2 main item veins are going to be Rush Triforce or Rush Wit's End. A flash coming out from Redgeron just to make sure that he doesn't get hooked, because Entheomancer's Impale is up. His flash is still down though, so he's not going to be able to do that flash engage, which is so strong with the Jungle Skarner. But yeah, you normally see Wits End or Trinity Force being rushed, and Marvin the Dang knows that Lil Kevin is going to be gunning for him immediately after he takes out Pangboy. So he wants to make sure that by the time that Lil Kevin gets there, he's got those stacks going. He has that little bit of extra survivability.
Yep, that flash was a little bit premature, but what we were talking about before is that the name of the game for UCI is minimizing risk. They really want to take this to the ultra late game where they might have a little bit more of an advantage going into things. But right now, University of Texas is doing a great job of forcing their hand. They're down in kills, so it looks like UCI is a little bit ahead, but actually it's dead even, and that's something that if University of Texas is in a better position, they're going to come out ahead in all of these team fights.
They really are dead even. It's all going to come down to this mid-game fight to see who's going to crack this game open, because both sides, they're posturing in for this fight. So it's going to be, is Entheomancer waiting for the flash? Yeah, he is. His flash is about to come up. So as soon as his flash pops, we are potentially going to see an engage because he wants that flash impale.
Yeah, he's really going to be needing to focus on a specific target, though. Where is he really going to be looking to grab?
He's going to want to kill Vitine as soon as possible. Vayne is the kind of champion that she's so slippery, especially when she pops her ultimate, that you have to burst her down. And they potentially have that ability because once the impale goes down, Kiwi Kid can lock him up with the stun, Pangboy can be putting the pain down with the Phantom Dancer, and Marvin the Dang can jump on him right away, especially with the ultimate. So there's a lot of kill potential to take Vitine out, but they have to execute it perfectly. If they do that, they can steamroll the fight, and Donald can set up his crescendo.
Yeah, and this is going to be a great setup for them as well. It looks like both teams are actually backing off here. Large waves building for University of Texas in both the top and the bottom lanes, kind of putting the pressure onto UCI to clean that up. And as that's happening, UT was able to pick up both of their buffs and then group up again in the enemy jungle. Taking away this blue buff in this point of the game is going to be huge. 21 minutes in, 6-2 on the scoreboard, but the gold is dead even still.
It looks like a potential engage. Lil Kevin getting caught out by the impale, and there he goes, going down. Kiwi Kid picking him up, and that is what UCI was afraid of. The impale into the full-on pain train that is Pangboy. And here comes Pawn Gypsy, caught out of position again. He's trying to turn this one around. Ignite going down onto Kiwi Kid, but the rest of UT is there. The slow going down onto Pawn Gypsy. He's gonna try and turn this one around, and Regeron is actually there with a Glitter Lance, gonna take him out, but not before Entheomancer drops Pawn Gypsy.
Yeah, a little bit of overeager play by Kiwi Kid, but it's going to follow it up. It's still a 4v3 in favor of University of Texas. They're going to try to push down this mid lane, see what they can do. Dragon's going to be up in less than a minute, so if they can keep the pressure onto UCI, force them to be in a position where they can't react to the Dragon, that's just a little bit of extra gold they can start to take in their favor.
But unfortunately for UT, they dropped little Kevin. While it was great that they were able to take him out, they dropped him a little bit early, so he's already up, and once this Dragon pops, they're going to be able to reset. And they weren't able to do that much with that advantage. They were able to take Pawn Gypsy out, which is great. They were able to take Little Kevin out, which is also great. They were able to get a kill onto Pangboy, but unfortunately for them, they haven't taken a turret, and they haven't really done much besides get a couple of jungle minions.
Yeah, but those jungle minions and the buffs associated with them are going to be pretty big. It looked like Regeron was able to take a little bit away from Kiwi Kid, but look at this in the bottom lane. So much potential for the gank there from Vitine. He's actually going to get extremely aggressive on Pangboy, trying to pin him to the wall. Is he going to be able to do it? Yes, he is. That's going to be a kill for UCI, and he's going to be able to get away completely unscathed.
And in the battle of hyper carries, Pangboy was sort of caught with his pants down at that point. Vitine also had the red buff, so he was able to chase him down. Kog'Maw doesn't really have that natural escape. There's the impale going down onto Regeron. Only Donald is there, though, with the follow-up, but there's the teleport, but Kiwi Kid teleports directly on top of a Little Kevin ultimate, so UCI is going to be able to disengage right off the bat, and Pawn Gypsy is on his way for this dragon fight.
Yeah, a lot of posturing going down for both teams. University of California in a little bit of an advantage here as they have 5 players up. Pangboy still not available for this team fight. A red buff and a blue buff onto the UCI team. That's going to be a free dragon for them. UT just needs to back off and try to do something else somewhere else on the map.
And UCI pulling ahead about 1,000 gold at this point. This is what they want to do. They're not doing the pedal and metal style that they're normally accustomed to. They're playing a lot more measured, which makes sense against this UT squad that wants to catch someone out of position and punish them right away. UCI gave them a little bit of taste of their own medicine in that battle of the hyper carries bottom. Although to be fair, Vitine had a red buff, so it wasn't really a fair fight.
It was not a fair fight, but Pangboy should have sensed that something was up. They did not know where Vayne was on the map, and that's something that you need to be always cognizant of. You need to know, and this is something that a lot of the Korean players say, they're always aware of exactly what cooldowns are available to the other team, what could be happening at any given time, and they're always ready for it.
And we'll have to see what UCI is going to be ready for next. The next fight could very likely see who is going to be taking out Baron or a significant amount of turrets. And taking a look at the turrets, UT is still ahead 2 turrets to 1. UCI 8 kills to 4, but still only 1,000 gold separates these two teams. So, Torch, this is the mid game, but very little separates these two.
Yeah, and these are the types of games that we really look forward to when we watch League of Legends. You want to see it get to this point where one team kind of gets a lead, but then the other team realizes what they need to compensate to kind of get back from it, and that's exactly what we're seeing here from UCI. It's just going back and forth between these two teams. One it takes an advantage one place, but then the other one realizes that they can kind of find a chink in the armor and just reverse it around on them.
And it's all going to come down to which team is able to catch someone first. UCI has a lot more potential to catch someone out with the Rupt. They have the Rupture, they have the Stun, they have an Evelyn. So they're going to be able to do a lot more, and not just that, they have the Regeron ultimate. You mentioned that the Korean type of play, they love the Lulu, especially for the ultimate. That's an instant knockup. That's basically an undodgeable disable if you're in the range. So if they're able to chain those knockups with Master of Law, they could very easily take someone out. And Kiwi Kid and Pangboy don't have escapes. Their escapes are their flashes. And both of their flashes are down. Kiwi Kid is actually about to come up, but Pangboy's is not going to be up for a little while. So if UCI wants to fight and they want to take out that Kog'Maw and steal that red buff, they're going to have to fight really soon.
Yeah, they're going to have to fight soon, but it's really which champion do you go on to? Because if Entheomancer grabs Vayne or Evelyn, the thing is that Redoran can just drop that wild growth on him, give him a little bit of extra health, and they're actually bringing a slow into the mix of their own team. So it's really going to be a dance or tango of who can get the enemy team out of position, but also keep them away from the supports that are available to them.
A tango, eh, Torch? How poignant, considering the skin choices. And that's a great point, and I think that's why they picked the Lulu, because they saw that Entheomancer is going to pull someone into their team. We are going to turn that into an offensive counter initiate, and they could very well do this. They're pushing down this tower, sieging it extremely well, almost baiting Entheomancer to grab someone. The problem is, Entheomancer has been grabbing Redoran every single time, so he's been forced to pop the ultimate on himself defensively instead of giving a more damage-dealing target the opportunity to counter-initiate and steamroll through the enemy team.
Yeah, usually you would not want to focus on the support as the first target, but in this situation, University of Texas might be kind of smart to go for that because the Aegis is on the Redoran. If Redoran gets taken out, that's a lot of defense removed from the entire team, and that's also the wild growth removed from the entire team. So while Entheomancer is going for that support, maybe not the best idea in small skirmishes, moving into these 5v5 team fights, it might be a good idea.
But the problem is that they're forcing Entheomancer to use his ultimate on someone who is not Vayne. And if you let Vayne stick around, especially an AD carry who is as good as Vtine is, that is a dangerous proposition. So the rest of UT is going to have to be all over that Vayne and take her out extremely quickly. That's where Pangboy's going to come in. That's where Marvin's going to come in. Marvin the Dang on the Aurelia. Aurelia is a fantastic diver. They have to pick up the slack. Donald also is going to need to nail that crescendo on Vtine.
Yeah, both teams realizing that this next fight is going to be huge for them. They're just kind of backing off, grabbing a little bit of gold, seeing what they can do for the extra items. Evelyn finally finishing off that Deathfire Grasp. She's going to be able to deal out just as much burst as Twisted Fate. However, Twisted Fate also has that Rabadon's Death Cap. He's going to be doing a ton of damage, but it's really depending on which target they can get a hold of. Both champions are going to be trying to go for that assassination.
But the difference between the Evelyn and the Twisted Fate is Twisted Fate gets the stun and he throws the wild cards. So he's able to lock someone up and deal a decent amount of front-end damage. If he doesn't have a Sheen or a Lich Bane, that he's not going to really have any follow-up. Evelyn, on the other hand, is going to be able to chase someone down, get the ultimate, and continually hate spike them. So Lil Kevin is going to be dealing that sustained DPS that UCI wants, whereas Kiwi Kid's going to have to go in, burst, recycle.
Very true, and we see that Ponchipsy's also finished up his Trinity Force. He's going to be that very strong, beefy bruiser that we know and love out of Jax. Meanwhile, Pangboy takes a little bit of extra damage, or Entheomancer's taking a little bit of damage from that Baron. Not quite ready to start it yet, but they are ready to force an engagement if UCI gets a little bit nervous that they might be going for the Baron.
It looks like UT is giving UCI a taste of their own medicine in Game 1. UCI kept trying to get a pick on them. It looks like, here we go. grab onto Pawn Gypsy. Pawn Gypsy immediately jumps onto Real Kiwi Kid, the ultimate and the exhaust and the ignite. Wow, Master Law on a killing spree, but Pawn Gypsy goes down almost immediately, but V-Time is still alive and still steamrolling, and Master Law is being that meat shield that he wants to be. Little Kevin is still alive as well, so Pangboy going down, Real Kiwi Kid in some serious trouble. V-Time cleansing out the stun. Redron trying to get some pain down onto Theomancer and Kiwi Kid, but that is going to be a 3-for-1 exchange. Pawn Gypsy taking one for the team, and UCI running away with that fight.
Yeah, they ran away with that fight because Marvin was caught a little bit onto his own. He was not able to help out the rest of his team. He was taken down relatively quickly as well. Meanwhile, UCI was able to continually dish out damage, keep those frontline champions like Master of LOL in the way of everyone else, and keep everyone alive even though they had very low health.
And this is a dangerous situation right now. Okay, the Destiny has just dropped, but Kiwi Kid was looking for a potential cleanup. That is what Twisted Fate is so good at, especially going into the mid game, is when people stick around for just a little bit too long. They're low health, they say, I can get a little bit of farm, I can get a little bit of junk food, maybe I can get some hits on the turret, and then they're dead.
But that's really the difference between a pro and an amateur. The pro is going to see situations like that and squeeze out every little bit of efficiency they can, whereas an amateur is going to either take a risk and get hurt for it, or they're just going to back off completely and not take the opportunities that are available to them. Meanwhile, we are sitting at 38.5 minutes into this game. University of California only up by about 1.5K gold, so even though they're winning the engagements, they're not winning them at any sort of super significant amount. It's really going to still come down to what is the next objective going to be and who's it going to go to. I think it's going to be Dragon, but the University of Texas is going to say something about that.
And Theomancer grabbing V-Time right away. There he goes, the flash, the tumble going out. Master Law getting ulted. Donald getting almost a chunk taken out of him. And there goes V-Time. Little Kevin is still alive, but he's sub 200 HP. He's going to loop around and potentially go for and execute if he can. But V-Time is over 50% health. He has the Infinity Edge. He wants to be that late game carry, and that's exactly what he wants to be. Little Kevin getting in on the action, getting dropped by Pangboy. But at the end of the day, a 4-for-2 exchange. And there's the ticking time bomb that is known as Vayne, just exploding.
Yeah, great grab, a great initiation from the Theomancer, but the rest of the team got zoned out by Pawn Gypsy. It was a complete trade in the beginning. Marvin for Pawn Gypsy, the two top laners, the two bruisers, going down first. But after that was all done, after the dust settled, well, not really too much settling, because there's still a lot of fighting going on. It was a great positioning for UCI, and that's why we see a 4-for-2 exchange.
And something we haven't touched on in these fights is Master of LoL is doing what he was trying to do in Game 1. The problem is, in Game 1, he was doing it on an underfarmed and underfed Mundo. In this game, he's doing it on a 4-0-6 Cho'Gath with a frozen heart. So he's just zoning out half of the UT team while V-Time is working his way through them target by target. And that is a scary proposition, especially on a full stack Cho'Gath.
Yeah, those full stacks are really coming into fruition as well. If he did not have those, he would have been taken out in all the previous fights. Now that he's finished off, or actually grabbed a Negatron cloak, he's going to be even harder to assassinate by Kiwi Kid. There's just very little that they can do to Master of Law except ignore him. But when they ignore him, that's just that many more ruptures that are coming out, making it so that they can't run away, and even more feral screams to make it so that no abilities are coming out from University of Texas.
But a great play by UT to make sure that even though they lost that fight by a decent amount, they are not losing by too much. But if UCI is able to take out this Baron, that story may change very quickly. UT able to take out that Dragon, only about a 4,000 gold deficit. A couple buddy wards going out, and it looks like UT could be looking to fight.
Yeah, this is a great position for them to go for. Baron is getting taken down by Cho'Gath, but the fight is starting. A great Sona ultimate to start things off. She is going to fall pretty quickly, however, Aurelia being the first death, the only death so far as both teams try to disengage at the moment. No ults available for University of Texas as Pangboy gets caught. That's going to be the trigger for UCI to be extremely aggressive at the moment. Only 3 towers currently down in their favor, but they're going to turn that into a lot more, with the ward being dropped down to make it so that Pawn Gypsy can go up there, try to go for the final kill, but doesn't matter. That's a GG. They're going to move on to game number 3, not waste any of their energy.
That's a 1-4-1.